So I don't think I've ever told you about my friend Lee. I'm sure I haven't. Um, Lee is a guy I met during high school. We didn't go to the same high school, but we met at speech tournaments. And we ended up both going to the same small junior college in East Texas and majoring in drama. And then we both ended up transferring to the University of Texas, and we were both directing majors. And Lee was, and probably still is, a good actor, a way better than average director, and but he was really a great, great costume designer and set designer. And there was this one time in his set design class, he designed this set, for a class assignment. He just designed it on paper. It didn't get built or anything. I think it was for a Greek tragedy or maybe a Shakespeare or something. But it had all these levels and it had a lot of tall columns, and it had part of the stage, I think, was a rake stage. And what that is like you build a platform that's ground level in the front and maybe goes up to 6 or 8 inches or even a foot in the back, so that it's a very slight incline of a ramp. Anyway, it was very dramatic and it was really wonderful. Anyway, I think he had moved in with my roommate and I for about a period of a month. And it was during that time he did this design. And so I saw this design a lot and watched his process and was up close and personal with this design. Anyway, a couple weeks, maybe a month after he submitted this to class, we were walking along the drag in Austin, that's Guadalupe Street, and there are a multitude of bookstores, and we stopped into one of these bookstores and picked up, and we're looking at the current issue of, I believe it was American Theater magazine or something like that, to see if we wanted to buy it. And he, I was looking over his shoulder, and we were both looking, and he turned a page, and there was this photo of a set designed for an opera in Germany. That was so close to Lee's. It was nearly identical. And this was, back in 1977. This was in the days before the internet. There's no way that Lee could have seen another photo of this set design. I mean, this was like kind of big news, first photo out kind of thing. And we were dumbfounded. That and another thing convinces me that there are ideas out there just floating around in the ether, just ready and waiting for us to grab them. And sometimes 2 people grab them at once. Here's the other story. Patricia Highsmith in 1951 wrote a book called 1950, wrote a book called Strangers on a Train. In 51, Alfred Hitchcock made a movie of it. And if you've not seen it, it's about 2 total strangers that meet on a train. They both sort of find out that they have somebody that they, just in the course of conversation, mind you, somebody they'd like killed. And they decide that, the reason they don't do it, obviously they'd get caught if only a stranger would kill them. A stranger, somebody with no motive, could get away with it. So they decide to trade murders. In 1957 or 58, a gentleman named Nicholas Blake submitted for publication a book called Penknife in My Heart, which has the same identical plot. There were a lot of other similarities about the book, including the 2 leading men had the same surnames. But Nicholas Blake swore to his publisher that he'd never heard of Patricia Highsmith. He'd never heard of Strangers on a Train. He'd never seen the movie. He just wrote it from his own imagination. And they had him make a few changes before publication, so it wasn't exactly the same book. You know, some may think he was lying. I prefer to think that idea was out there floating and two of them grabbed it. And one of the reasons why is that Nicholas Blake was a pen name for, what was his name? Cecil Day-Lewis, the poet laureate of Ireland at the time, father of actor Daniel Day-Lewis. I tell you all this to tell you that recently I had this great idea. I decided that I'd do a series where I put on a face mask and, you know, tell you about it and then come back, you know, 10 minutes later and let you see how it looks when it's all hardened, and it's not yet. And then wash it off and tell you if it did what it said it was going to do. And I was going to call this series, Who is That Masked Woman? Anyway, last Friday? The Friday before. Anyway, I was thinking of, I guess it was last Friday. I was thinking about, you know, doing my first video and launching it on Saturday. And then I woke up and I watched, while I was having my coffee Saturday morning, I watched Cheryl Coyote's newest video, in which she had received a box of gifts from a friend, and one of the things in the box was a mask. She said, you know what I should do? She said, I'm not one of these beauty gurus. I'm more of a beauty goober, but I love masking, and I think I might do a series where I put on a mask and just sit here and talk about beauty for 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah. That idea was out there floating around, and she and I grabbed it at the same time. So I sent her an email telling her about the idea I had had, and since I liked her idea better because she's going to talk about beauty. She wasn't just going to evaluate the face mask, right? Which is all I was going to do. And I'm not really eloquent, but she is really, really eloquent. So I said, so why don't you do it? But here's what I was going to name it. I was going to name it, Who is That Masked Woman? And you might want to use that name. So she then wrote back and said, no, why don't we both do it? And so we started talking about it. And I'm going to attempt once a week to be as eloquent as Cheryl. This is not going to happen, but I'm going to try every week to talk about something beautiful. And I'll start doing that next week. But obviously this week, I just explained to you how this all came about and how it's going to go forth. And we'll be putting up our videos every Sunday. Mine will be called Guru versus Goober. And hers will be called Goober versus Guru. And let me also say, I don't consider myself a beauty guru. I consider myself just an old broad who's trying to look as good as possible for as long as possible. But for the purposes of this video, okay, I'll call myself a guru. And I am going to tell you, though, briefly this week about one thing that I think is really beautiful. Every time I click on one of Cheryl Coyote's videos and she lifts her head up and she says, hey now, and smiles that smile, she is so beautiful. I'm not sure she has any idea how beautiful she is. Okay. All that said, I'm going to go away for a minute and wash this off. I'll be right back, and we'll see if it did what it said it was going to do, which is retexturize my face, and I'm not even sure what that means. Be right back. Okay, hi, I'm back. Okay, I've washed it off. I thought it was totally dry. There was this one little spot kind of right in there on each cheek that wasn't completely dry, but I think it was close enough. I don't know. My face, I guess I see what they mean by retexturing, because I thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to start with normal skin and then it'll be really soft afterward. No, it's more than that. It's really smooth. It's a subtle difference, but it is a difference. Feels very, very smooth. So anyway, that's it for episode 1. I will list Cheryl's channel and Cheryl's video below. Please go watch her. If you don't know her already, you will love her, and I think you'll find her very, very beautiful. Love y'all. Bye.